Part 47. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 461. Oh, they're from Mu Seeing Qiao Shang's eyes lit up and he became interested immediately. Then he and Lin Wenbo stretched their necks to look excitedly, and murmured, "What does it look like? Let me help you look for it." Lin Wenbo was stunned for a moment, and then replied, "My mother said that the girl is the most beautiful and has the best temperament." Huh, Qiao Shang turned his head and looked over with suspicion in his peach blossom eyes. "You are the prettiest and have the best temperament. Auntie's evaluation is not low. Tell me, could it be that your mother thinks you are the boss? I'm still paying the single tax, so I'm sending you a little wife for you to see." Lin Wenbo rolled his eyes at him. "What are you talking about? I'm already 36, and the oldest girl here is only 25 or 6, which is more than 10 years apart." Qiao Shang looked unconcerned. "What's the matter? My father and my mother are still more than 20 years apart. People under 100 years old are of marriageable age, and love doesn't need to depend on age." Lin Wenbo. He opened his mouth to refute, but his mother obviously wanted him to flatter him and follow someone else's ass. In order to prevent him from getting romantically involved, she even specifically mentioned that he was not worthy of her. How could this be an introduction to her daughter-in-law? Yes, this is more like introducing the leader to him. But before he could say these words, Qiao Shang beside him suddenly howled excitedly. "Hey, let's not talk about the other recruits and special recruits in this batch. They are all top-notch in terms of their looks. Look, those girls who just came out of the battleship are all good. They are as delicate and timid as a pure little girl. White Rabbit, one is as beautiful and generous as a delicate rose, and there is also the gentle and generous one with bright eyes and white teeth. The one in the middle is even more amazing, with a temperament as cold as the floating clouds in the sky. If you don't look at that cold and beautiful face, just look at it. That temperament is what makes her stand out from the crowd. If you want to say that the girl with good temperament is one of them, but if you want to say that the girl with the strongest aura, she is definitely her. Is this the one your mother wants you to find?" Lin Wenbo looked in his direction. His elegant and handsome face was full of confusion. For a moment, he really couldn't recognize which one he was. Those girls did have good temperaments. It can be said that they each have their own advantages. It's really hard to judge when saying most. He opened his mouth and revealed the second key point. Her name is Bai Qianchun. Oh, there is a name. That's easy. Let's go to Lao Cao's place and have a look. He is responsible for welcoming new recruits. He must have a list and information in his hand. Lin Wenbo thought about it. So as not to make a joke by picking the wrong person, it would be best to read the information first. Then the two of them walked to Lao Cao's place beside the battleship and asked. Lao Cao glanced at them casually. "There are 4 Bai Qianchun in total, which one are you looking for?" "What? 4, Qiao Shang and Lin Wenbo were both shocked. How likely are these 4 people with the same name to join the same legion? There's definitely something weird about this." Qiao Shang seemed to have suddenly thought of something. "I heard that our 9th Legion is affiliated to Duke Bai's mansion. The original takeover should be Miss Bai, Duke Bai's biological daughter. These 4 Bai Qianchun's surname is Bai. Are they the same as those of Bai Qianchun? Does it matter if she is a princess?" Lin Wenbo glanced at him in surprise, but Qiao Shang's eyes suddenly lit up, and he became more and more excited as he spoke. "If the princess is really back, then shouldn't the acting Duke Bai get out of here? Our 9th Legion also has a new look, and the person discussed on the military intranet who can lead the 9th Legion to rise may be the princess." Lin Wenbo saw Lao Cao looking at him in shock. Lin Wenbo thinks more than Qiao Shang. His mother gave him a pass before and asked him to perform well. Is it possible that this is the reason? That is indeed a shortcut to climb up. He is not stupid. Qiao Shang is smart. He is smarter than Qiao Shang. Otherwise, he would not have been admitted to the first military academy under such difficult conditions on Wuyuan planet. The only time he was stupid in his life was when he was tricked into joining. That time with the 9th Legion. Back then, Wuyuan was still very poor. He wanted to improve his life and that of his parents, but he was dazzled by the generous benefits provided by the 9th Legion. As a result, after joining the 9th Legion, he realized that he had fallen into a trap. The benefits he had promised were gone, and his wages were often in arrears. He originally wanted to return home in glorious clothes, but he suddenly lost the courage to go back. If it weren't for the Muyuan Star Master after returning a year ago, Muyuanxing's living standards had risen rapidly. He was afraid that he would not be able to stay in the 9th Legion until today and would have to retire and go back to be with his parents. Not to mention these for now, the most important thing is that since the living standard of Muyuan Star has improved, his energy and brain have also returned. Combined with his mother's instructions, he suddenly had a bold guess in his heart. What his mother said, could that Bai Qianchun be the Duke and Miss Bai family? Did she come to the 9th Legion to seize the throne? That's why we set up 3 other guises called Bai Qianchun? When he thought of this, Lin Wenbo's heart began to beat, but he did not reveal it on his face. Instead, he helped to cover it up. Anyway, the Bai Qianchun my mother asked me to find is definitely not the one she came from. We are neighbors back home. Qiao Shang nodded seriously. Well, let's rule this out first. Bai Qianchun, who still didn't know that her vest had been guessed, was surrounded by Lin Guiyan, Ya Yang Langxiao and others, and her cold eyes were looking for someone in the crowd of veterans of the 9th Legion who came to watch. Ya Yunping, the grandma of the Ya family on Wuyuan planet, is an enthusiastic elder. After knowing that she was coming to the 9th Legion, she enthusiastically sent her something and asked her to transfer it to the 9th Legion to give to her son, which meant that she was in the 9th Legion. She was unfamiliar with the place, so he sent her a helper. Her son Lin Wenbo has been in the 9th Army for several years. Let's not talk about military rank, but his qualifications are definitely there. Those years must have been in vain, and he can help her quickly understand the 9th Army and gain a foothold. Bai Qianchun has no objection to this. Having such a person is a good thing for her. There is no need to trouble Marshal de Rong to avoid arousing Bai Zhuangquan's suspicion in advance. Furthermore, the more people who belong to her in the 9th Army, the better. But before they found Lin Wenbo, there was a sudden commotion in front of them, and a group of people were surrounding Bai Zhuangquan and coming towards them. Bai Zhuangquan had a mature, gentle, and good-natured face, and he smiled very kindly, and now there was a smile on his face. Lao Cao, who was standing next to Lin Wenbo, immediately put aside the shocked and weird expression on his face, looked solemn, and walked towards Bai Zhuangquan with an upright posture. Major General Bai, what do you want to do here? His movement immediately attracted the attention of Bai Qianchun and others. Bai Qianchun also naturally saw Lin Wenbo, who was standing with Lao Cao before. Her eyes flickered, and she did not rush to find anyone. Instead, she turned her gaze back to Bai Zhuangquan, who was smiling and chatting with Instructor Cao in front of him. Her eyes slightly darkened. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 462. Didn't it mean that Bai Zhuangquan was not in the 9th Legion? Why are you here now? Or is he anxious? The corners of Bai Qianchun's lips were slightly raised, showing sarcasm. After the greetings, Lao Cao led Bai Zhuangquan towards them. With a square face and thick eyebrows, Lao Cao introduced them to them without any fluctuation. This is Major General Bai, the new logistics department of our 9th Army. Minister, you are all freshmen and special recruits. You will not go to the battlefield at the beginning, but will focus on training, so during the training period you will first belong to the logistics department, and then you will be managed and deployed by Minister Bai. Do you understand? Understood. The freshmen and special admissions students glanced at Bai Juanquan either curiously or disdainfully, and their replies were sparse, uneven, and in short, very perfunctory. The smile on Bai Juanquan's face was almost unbearable, and he secretly resented that these fledgling boys and yellow-haired girls dared to look down on him. Especially after seeing members of the Lin family and juniors from several other families, he felt even more depressed. With his smooth temperament, he definitely can't argue with the juniors of these big families and lower his favorability. After all, he still has their elders to rely on. Especially in recent days, he clearly felt that the people from several families who had treated him somewhat lightly at the beginning were much colder to him. When he invited them out for a drink, they refused because they had something to do. If he hadn't asked his men to investigate the whereabouts of those people, they were indeed not having fun and messing around outside. This dispelled some suspicion. But Bai Juanquan always felt that something was wrong. He felt that something was wrong after that high-level meeting. He spent a lot of money to find out the content of that high-level meeting, but he didn't gain much. He only knew that except for the Orc Empire, spies, the soldiers in the Legion have been drugged, and they need the medicine of the Muyuan Star Master to detect and detoxify. Although nothing was found wrong, Bai Juanquan still had the feeling that a storm was coming, so he attributed all the bad premonitions to Bai Qianchun's appearance. This name was always stuck in his throat, and he could only solve her completely. As the acting duke, he can truly sit back and relax. So he took the initiative and obtained military merit by providing funds to buy medicine for the Ninth Army. He rose to the rank of Major General and became the head of the logistics department of the Ninth Army. He also directly stationed at the Ninth Army's station and took over the management of new recruits and special admissions. He didn't believe it. With him in charge, he could ask that dead girl Bai Qianchun to do anything. Lao Cao frowned when he saw their feeble replies, and shouted with a dark face, "Have you not had enough to eat? Each one of you is weak, shout louder. All the recruits and special recruits, I understand." Only then was Lao Cao satisfied. Then he looked at Bai Juanquan and asked seriously, "What instructions does Major General Bai have for them?" Bai Juanquan patted his shoulder with a smile and comforted him, "Major General Cao doesn't need to be so strict. It's just the first day for the children to be a little loose. It's normal for them to be a little casual. You can't look serious without smiling at all. Didn't you say that you need to work as a team with the new recruits so that you can have a tacit understanding in future battles?" Lao Cao looked at the kind-hearted person in front of him, who looked like he was here to do charity. He rolled his eyes secretly in his heart. He couldn't help but sigh and scolded you for knowing nothing. If you don't give these little bastards a lesson in the first place. Look, push their heads down and they will be lawless from now on. A layman from Ya came to teach him military training. I don't know what Marshal de Rong was thinking. He actually let him join the Ninth Army and handed him the logistics director. Can this thing be reliable? You won't teach these brats bad things. Lao Cao muttered in his heart, his face still full of seriousness, Major General Bai is right. Marshal de Rong said that if he wants to kill him, he must make him crazy. If he can follow it a little bit, he should follow it a little bit, so he should just follow it perfunctorily. Bai Juanquan didn't know what Lao Cao was thinking. He was very satisfied with his superiority. Then he put his hands behind his waist and pretended to be a leader and lectured a few words, while his eyes were deep and focused on the faces of the four Bai Qianchun. Bai Qianchun didn't listen carefully to what he said. Anyway, he just said a lot of kind words to win over people, saying that if you have anything to do, you can just come to him. His son and daughter are also the same age as them. He understands the feeling of children being away from home. They talk to him like a father figure and stuff like that. In short, after he finished speaking, many little fools were really moved and praised the logistics director for being so kind, and much better than their black-faced instructor Cao. Bai Qianchun stopped listening after one ear. After Bai Zhuangquan left and instructor Cao announced the disbandment, she took Ya Yang Lengxiao, Lin Guiyan, and Lin Fiwei and Bai Qianchun who followed Lin Guiyan in the direction of Lin Wenbo. Past. Your grandma Yunping's son Lin Wenbo, hello, Uncle Lin. Bai Qianchun's cold eyes swept over Lin Wenbo's handsome face. He was too young, but this uncle didn't matter. I can't shout anymore. Qiao Shang put his arm on Lin Wenbo's shoulder and laughed so hard, ha ha ha, call me uncle. It's perfectly fine to call him uncle according to your age. Lin Wenbo threw away his hand angrily, glared at him, and then said helplessly to Bai Qianchun, call me Major Lin. Bai Qianchun nodded obediently, Major Lin. Then she introduced Leng Xiao, Ya Yang, and others around her. After both parties nodded one by one, Lin Wenbo also had a smile on his face. I'll take you to visit the 9th Legion. If nothing happens, you will stay here for the first 3 months of training. My mother told me to entertain you well. If you have anything, you can ask me. Bai Qianchun nodded politely, then I'll trouble Major Lin. In the marshal's command room. A confidant looked at his marshal with a puzzled expression, why did you let that bitch Bai Zhuangquan join the 9th Army? You also let him take charge of logistics and become the head of the logistics department. Isn't this inviting a wolf into the house? After he comes in, you can't drive him away. It's difficult. De Rong had a smile on his face, even if he doesn't join the 9th Army, the logistics department still has to look at his face. It's better to let him come in and be the head of the logistics department. From now on, if our legion lacks anything, we don't have to look at his face. Just use the head of the logistics department to suppress him. If you don't believe him, he won't come up with something, otherwise he will be derelict in his duties. The confidant thought, and it seemed to make sense, but Marshal, didn't you particularly resist him entering the Legion before? De Rong smiled treacherously, I thought it was wrong before, but now I think it's good for him to come in. Look, Lao Cao sent me a message. On the first day he came in, he got into trouble with the new recruits. It's a pity that I was not there to see his ugly face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 463. With the help of Lin Wenbo, Bai Qianchun and several other special recruits quickly integrated into the 9th Legion and got along well. Especially the soldiers at the grassroots level, including lieutenants and school-level soldiers, got along well with them. They were called brothers, but within a month or so, they had become like old veterans, and they didn't look unfamiliar at all. Speaking of which, this was all thanks to the help of Zhou Lang, the poisonous milk. This is what happened. We already knew that Zhou Lang and Di Yan were sworn enemies. This time Di Yan followed Bai Qianchun's special move and entered the 9th Army in advance. Zhou Lang was naturally not far behind and passed his father, General Zhou Ang. Because of his relationship, he was specially recruited into the 9th Legion. Because he was close to Di Yan, Bai Qianchun was also regarded as his enemy. In addition, due to the grudges during the martial arts test at the first military academy, Zhou Lang saw Bai Qianchun and Di Yan as a thorn in his side, so at the beginning of the recruit training it didn't take long before Zhou Lang couldn't sit still anymore. He took advantage of his strength and led others to provoke him. He had to compete with Di Yan and her in order to establish his dominance among the recruits. Unexpectedly, he lost every time he provoked, and became more and more courageous with every defeat. The military ranks of those he brought around gradually changed from lieutenant level to school level, and later even brought people with the rank of major general, whether it was a military simulation, whether it was battlefield command, a competition of superpowers, or a real fist battle or mecha battle. Bai Qianchun and Leng Xiao all won, but Zhou Lang was like a mad dog that couldn't be shaken off, and he still chased after him again and again. He came up and continued barking and yelling, unwilling to admit defeat. It is also his indomitable and unyielding spirit that has brought Bai Qianchun and others to the popular ranks of the 9th Legion step by step. As the squad leader of these people, Bai Qianchun naturally became famous step by step. Promote and become a man of the hour in the 9th Legion. The veterans also gradually reduced their contempt for them after watching the games. Their impression of her changed from a somewhat talented recruit to a genius recruit to a powerful recruit who could defeat a major general. All in all, Bai Qianchun and the others relied on Zhou Lang's persistent poisonous milk to increase their reputation step by step, and soon became famous among the 9th Legion. Even other legions also heard about their heroic victory in consecutive battles. Deeds, they were in the limelight for a while, and Zhou Lang, who had pushed them to the altar with one hand, was half angry to death. Speaking of which, Bai Qianchun herself never expected that her fame in the 9th Legion would go so smoothly and logically, and she couldn't find any faults. After all, it was the enemy's comrade Zhou Lang who personally sent them the head and opportunity. It is difficult not to suspect that Zhou Lang is the spy he planted on the opposite side. Compared with Bai Qianchun's smooth sailing, Bai Zhuangquan, who is also new to the 9th Legion, has been having a very bad time. Although he is smart, cunning, and smooth, he cannot stand up to his professionalism. Although he occupies the leadership and management position in the training of new recruits, he has no say at all in the normal training of new recruits. The recruit instructor, Lao Cao, is also a stubborn fool. He said that he would reduce the burden on the new recruits and win their hearts. Lao Cao said that new recruits cannot be effective without training. Only by training to death now can they have a better chance of survival on the battlefield. It's a matter of life. How can Bai Zhuangquan dare to ask professionals to reduce their burden? Then he mentioned that the logistics were insufficient recently and wanted to send new soldiers to help. Lao Cao said that a bunch of bastards are not even trained on how to perform tasks. Although logistics is not as important as frontline soldiers, it is still a very important position. You cannot send unreliable recruits to do it, in case something goes wrong. The responsibility for the incident does not lie with the new soldiers, but with Bai Zhuangquan, the director of the logistics department who sent them out. If he dared to sign the responsibility letter and take all the responsibility on himself, Lao Cao would agree to him sending the new soldiers out. What can Bai Zhuangquan do? He originally wanted to send new soldiers out to take advantage of the opportunity to deal with the most likely Bai Qianchun. By the way, it would be best if the other 3 Bai Qianchun were dealt with together. It would be strange if nothing happened, but if he was responsible for this, if he doesn't carry it, wouldn't his reputation be completely ruined? How can he take over the 9th Legion then? Besides, the fact that Bai Qianchun is the princess has already spread in the Legion. When the time comes, he will sign the responsibility, and although he will be killed, the 9th Legion will also have nothing to do with him. Who can guess? He would be the biggest beneficiary before Bai Qianchun died. Therefore, without Bai Qianchun taking action, Lao Cao suppressed Bai Zhuangquan, the head of the logistics department, which made Bai Zhuangquan very upset and distressed. What's even more outrageous is that since Bai Zhuangquan became the head of the logistics department, there have been more and more requests for money. The soldiers' mechas are broken and old and need a maintenance fee. The soldiers have not had money for several months. We need a large amount of military expenditures to pay wages, and the Research Institute has released new warships. Our 9th Legion cannot lag behind. We have to buy new warships, and the orders from Jupiter need to be increased for military supplies. They all need Pentacles, Pentacles, Pentacles. If he, the head of the logistics department, does not allocate funds, he will soon be met with blank stares and disgusted looks from soldiers from all directions when he goes out the next day. This is the head of the logistics department, what the hell? It's just a useless snack. Bai Juanquan was so angry that the self-restraint he had cultivated for more than 10 years almost collapsed, and his face turned blue and white. He didn't even need Bai Qianchun to secretly help him or confront him head-on. He himself was dizzy by these financial affairs. Almost collapsed. After hearing his recent tragic situation, De Rong laughed so hard that he slapped his thigh in the marshal's command room, claiming that if he had known that this old boy was so capable, he would have recruited people into the army and made him the head of the logistics department to see how busy he was. The anxious look is so cool. Even Lu Feng, who looked like a reserved young man, had his mouth raised all day long. He felt that these days were the happiest in years. However, Bai Juanquan is not someone who gives up easily. After he finally made those supercilious glances disappear with the allocation of funds and the payment of wages, he started to work non-stop again. Since he couldn't send new soldiers and take Bai Qianchun to a dangerous place to kill her, he would spend money to buy her life. Recruit training is to enable recruits to quickly adapt to the battlefield, so dangers during training are inevitable. Bai Zhuangquan's idea was that an accident occurred during training and Bai Qianchun died unexpectedly. So he resorted to his usual business methods, throwing money at people and making them work for him. In order to avoid people being suspicious of him, he deliberately avoided Admiral Zhou Ang, who had already formed an alliance with him, and wanted to bribe him himself. A few minions. It is a pity that although the 9th Legion has declined and is the last among the major legions, the people who join the army are not like those thugs from the outside world who are paid to do anything. Although they are poor, they are also poor, have backbone, and are smart and will not take it easy. Serve as a gunman. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 464. What's more, in terms of recruit training, both the instructors and recruit commanders were selected by De Rong and Lu Feng. Bai Qianchun was followed by a team of her confidants, including the other three Bai Qianchun. They were mixed together, and even if someone was bribed by Bai Juanquan, there would be no chance to take action. It can be said that there is a safe zone around Bai Qianchun. If someone wants to break through the safe zone and secretly attack her and the people around her, it is simply impossible. So Bai Zhuangquan's plan failed again. Bai Zhuangquan, who had tried and failed repeatedly, did not get any benefits. Instead, he lost hundreds of millions, making himself so angry that he almost died of nausea. Bai Qianchun felt quite happy when she saw the news that was quietly transmitted from Marshal De Rong, but after that, she felt a little confused. Is that it? That's it? Is this what Bai Zhuangquan is capable of? Could it be that the dream overly glorified Bai Zhuangquan's methods and insidiousness? She felt that her previous preparations made her lonely, but before Bai Qianchun could adjust her plan, the smoke of the border Orc Empire ignited. At the same time, she also welcomed two unexpected enemies in the 9th Legion. An extremely surprising person. The border war broke out, and all legions had to go to the border and stay on standby. Bai Qianchun's 9th Legion was no exception. Before the training of the new recruits was completed, they boarded the warship and sailed to the border at lightning speed. On this day, the warship that was moving rapidly suddenly stopped for a while on a small planet, and then she suddenly received a message from Bai Zhuangquan, asking her to go there. Bai Qianchun walked out of the training room, her face still wet with moisture from the fresh cleaning. She lowered her head to control the secret channel of the optical brain to contact Mu Yuan Seeing. The beginning of the border war was a good opportunity for their Jupiter star to make a lot of money. Even if she didn't want to make money, someone would send a lot of star coins to her door for her to make money. Therefore, Bai Qianchun immediately decided to ask Mu Yuan star to receive the order, and then expanded the factory to double the production lines of large healing pills, and small healing pills, so as to be ready to provide pharmaceutical supplies to several large legions. After that, she replied to Feng Yuyu's message about that slimy man. His message read, if the border war hadn't come so quickly, he might have taken the Yurong Dan and mingled with the people sent by his eldest sister. People from the 9th Legion came in to see her coming. Bai Jianchun said a lot of pleasant words to calm him down and not let him jump onto the battleship to take the opportunity. Bai Jianchun, who turned off her light brain, had her eyes blank and felt a little dazed. Has she become more and more accustomed to the man's stickiness recently? You still don't feel anything is wrong? Suddenly I felt like I was boiling a frog in warm water. Ya Yang wrinkled his face, leaned his head towards her, and asked suspiciously, Sister Chun, what's wrong with you? What happened? Did that bitch Bai Zhuangquan discover your identity? Bai Jianchun blinked and came back to his senses. The dazed expression on his face quickly subsided, probably not. Just let me go to the battleship hatch. Ya Yang still did not let down his guard, and raised his eyebrows with a serious expression, is it because I want to push you out of the battleship? Bai Jianchun laughed and said, there are people coming and going over there. Even if he wanted to attack, he would choose a place where no one was around. Besides, I have a super mecha given by Fen Yu. Even if he pushed me out, I wouldn't be able to do it, nothing will happen. Ya Yang was so upset when he heard about this super mecha. He really wanted to have one, but unfortunately it wasn't his husband. He didn't have Sister Chun's charm to get someone to give away such an expensive, rare, and special super mecha for free. It is said that the Huayao Empire now only has 3 super mechas, which shows how precious they are, especially now that the Orc Empire is about to start, and the smoke is rising again. Who doesn't want a super mecha to provide an extra layer of protection? He secretly paid attention to it. However, now the price of super mechas in the empire has reached more than 500 billion. Fen Yu, a business genius, naturally knew the value of the super mecha, but he still gave it to his sister Chun without blinking an eye, and even asked for it to be tailor-made. Ya Yang said that this brother-in-law can still get along. Ya Yang nodded after coming back to his senses, since there are people coming and going over there, I'll go with you, Sister Chun. Where are you going? Leng Xiao turned out of the 3-pronged aisle next door and looked at the two of them with suspicious eyes on his paralyzed face. Ya Yang spoke quickly and said directly, Bai Zhuangquan is looking for Sister Chun. I don't know if there is any conspiracy. Leng Xiao sharply frowned, I'll go with you. Bai Jianchun didn't have any sense of crisis about this trip, and she didn't refuse, so she took Ya Yang Leng Xiao and they went there. There were a lot of people gathered at the door of the battleship cabin. They were all wearing camouflage uniforms or military uniforms, so the two people in white casual clothes surrounded by them were a little more obvious. However, because there were too many people around, and the two people had their backs to them, Bai Jianchun couldn't see their faces clearly, but Bai Jianchun had a hunch that Bai Zhuangquan asked her to come here probably because of these two people. Who are these two people? And why are you looking for her? She had not received any news from Marshal Dirong before. Bai Jianchun felt a little suspicious. At this time, the mature and elegant Bai Zhuangquan, who was standing in the crowd and smiling, had already seen her. He waved to her with a kind smile on his face, Second Lieutenant Bai, come here quickly. These two old friends who said they are yours are looking for you. Yes, they will stay on our battleship for a while. Since you are familiar with them, they will be left to you to entertain them these days. Old friend, Bai Qianchun's forehead was filled with questions, and his eyes narrowed slightly. Could it be that the original owner knew him? After Bai Zhuangquan made such an action, the military green people surrounding him naturally moved out of the way, and the two people who originally had their backs to them also turned around. The young man on the left has a tall and straight figure, like orchids and jade trees, with fair skin and beautiful appearance. He looks like a noble prince walking out of a painting. At this time, his thin red lips are slightly raised, half smiling, and a pair of starry eyes contain a smile. He looked towards her with tenderness and affection. The young man on the right and slightly behind also has fair and shiny skin, delicate eyebrows, and is well behaved and gentle. He is a rare and beautiful young man. After seeing their faces clearly, Bai Qianchun's heart skipped a beat, and her eyes immediately shone with surprise. Qianchun, Laoba. Ya Yang's voice sounded full of surprise in her ears. Lao San, Lao Ba. The cute and beautiful young man opposite also shouted excitedly to them with bright eyes, Sister Chun, Ya Yang, Leng Xiao, I finally found you. Then both parties excitedly rushed towards each other, and there was a scene where everyone hugged each other and recognized their relatives happily. Even Bai Qianchun couldn't help but hug Qianchun excitedly. If anyone wanted to say who spent the longest time with her in Ziwutong, it was undoubtedly Qianchun. Before her eldest sister picked up Ziwutong, she had wandered with Qianchun for a period of time. Her name was Bai Qianchun, so she named the younger brother who wandered together Qianchun. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 465. Ya Yang was so excited that he was reunited after a long separation in two worlds, so he couldn't help but rush forward excitedly to hug Liang Chen, the old 8 guard whom he couldn't stand before, to express his feelings of missing him. But Wei Liang Chen didn't really want to hug him. He stretched out a finger as white as jade and poked his forehead, pushing him away. His eyes narrowed on his picturesque face, with disgust. He's all over the body, it all smells like sweat, don't hug me. Ya Yang's smile froze, then he blocked his hand and continued to hug him without giving him a chance to react. Huh, he won't, he will hug him if he wants to. Ya Yang hugged Wei Liang Chen and had fun for a while, and even deliberately brought his sweaty face over and rubbed hard on his shoulder. Wei Liang Chen's originally gentle smile couldn't be held back and collapsed. He gritted his teeth with a smile, and said with anger in his tone, Ya Yang, you think you are a dog, rub it hard to stay. Smell can also enclose territory. This kid always has a way to make his image of a noble young master collapse in an instant. Ya Yang let go of his hands, with a proud look on his face, and cast a provocative look at him. The dog's territory depends on peeing. If you think I am a dog, I can sprinkle a few drops on you. Wei Liang Chen took 2 steps back with a look of disgust on his face and snorted coldly, you're being cruel. Bai Qianchun, Qianchun, and Leng Xiao, who had finished greeting and hugging each other, looked at the two of them speechlessly. These two were really natural enemies. They could actually argue with each other at such an exciting moment after a long separation. Wei Liang Chen glared at Ya Yang with a bad expression, like a misophobic patient suppressing the smell on his body, with a gloomy expression on his face, but still maintaining his grace. He turned around and said to Bai Zhuangquan behind him, Major General Bai, I need a room to rest, I wonder if we can arrange it quickly. Bai Zhuangquan, who was secretly observing from the side, immediately put on a gentle smile and said, of course, I will ask someone to make arrangements right away. Lieutenant Bai is familiar with battleships, so let her take you there. Bai Qianchun suppressed the smile on her face, nodded to him coldly, and then left with Wei Liang Chen and Ya Yang, Qianchun, and Leng Xiao, who were laughing and chatting behind them. Seeing their disappearing figures around the corner, the smile on Bai Zhuangquan's face disappeared immediately, and his gentle eyes now had a calculating mood. Zhou Lang, who had just arrived and took a quick look, looked dissatisfied. He walked up to Bai Zhuangquan and asked rudely, Uncle Bai, who are those two people? Why are you so polite to them? Bai Zhuangquan frowned and looked at Zhou Lang, who was walking over. There was annoyance hidden in the depths of his eyes. This person who had failed to accomplish anything but was prone to failure would actually speak to him in this tone. If he hadn't kept his admiral father to return the favor, it was useful. He had already ordered someone to deal with this kid. Alas, what a sin. I don't know what's going on, but he and Zhou are both smart people, so how come the sons they gave birth to are idiots and useless snacks? They were sent by Marshal Huo, Bai Zhuangquan said casually to him, then didn't bother to say more to him, turned around and left with his men. Zhou Lang was left standing there with a gloomy expression on his face, grinding his teeth as he watched Bai Zhuangquan's leaving figure. Bah, what the hell, becoming the head of the logistics department is amazing. On the other side, Bai Qianchun, who had already led people into the room, was equally curious and asked Qinjun and Wei Liangchen what was going on. Shouldn't they be on Chaos Star now? After Wei Liangchen entered the room, he took off his coat. He no longer looked as patient as he had been when he was having a mysophobia attack outside. He found a chair and sat down lazily. With a smile on his face, he said casually, "Probably. For the sake of Marshal Huo, I made a deal with Marshal Huo of the 31st Army. I helped them walk on the Chaos Planet, and he helped us get 2 identities that we could use. As for why he was here, of course it was because he saw that boy Zhu Bao hadn't completed the task he had given him for so long and had lost contact with him, so he had to come and have a look in person. Who would have thought that after they finished arranging things on the Chaos Star and were looking for them on the starship, they received news on the way that the border was unstable and that all the legions were gathering at the border. He temporarily gave up the plan to go to the main star to find people, and contacted Huo Quancheng to inquire. Bai Qianchun's whereabouts arrived. So they stopped and waited at the small planet on the way of the 9th Legion, and relying on Marshal Huo's relationship, they were respectfully picked up by Bai Zhuangquan and picked up by the 9th Legion's logistics warship. There was a smile on Bai Qianchun's lips. She knew that Wei Liangchen could get along very well wherever he was. He could let Marshal Huo personally help with arrangements and also revealed information about her. This showed Wei Liangchen's reputation with Marshal Huo. After listening to Wei Liangchen talk about the process of getting on the battleship, Ye Yang couldn't wait to ask Qinjun, "How did you cross over? When did you cross over? I remember that you and the eldest sister left the town. It's Dragon City, so it shouldn't be affected by that nuclear bomb." Qianjun was much shyer than Wei Liangchen, and he answered whatever he asked, "I wore it 2 years ago, and I don't know how I got there. There was a change in the mission at that time, and the eldest sister found out that the mission was released. People were uneasy and well-intentioned, and someone ambushed us on the road. We planned to go back to Zhenlong City first and plan for a long-term plan. But we didn't expect that just after we climbed over the wall and entered Zhenlong City, the whole city was bombed. When I woke up again, I passed through it. An orphan from the Greedy Wolf Star was found dead. Later, I got the news about Liang Chen on the Greedy Wolf Star, so I followed him to the Chaos Star. Oh, no wonder Sister Chun couldn't find Lao Ba when she asked someone to look for him on the Greedy Wolf Star. It turns out you went to the Chaos Star." Ye Yang muttered. "Calculate the time, you and the 3 of us should have passed through the same time, it has been 2 years. Sister Chun's pills should have been popular in Huayao Empire long ago, why did you come to us now?" Ye Yang's tone was full of dissatisfaction and grievance. It would be great if everyone reunited early and everyone in Xiaoyutong was neatly organized. Qinjun scratched his head and explained with an embarrassment on his face, "The signal on Chaos Star is poor, and we are not well informed in receiving news. If Marshal Huo hadn't found Liang Chen with beauty pills and whitening pills to cooperate, we wouldn't have been able to cooperate with him so quickly get the news about Sister Chun. But we couldn't escape at that time. Chaos continued on the Chaos Star, and there was serious conflict between the various forces. After Liang Chen led the natives to become an independent force, if he left the natives, they might be even worse off than before he helped. I couldn't bear to leave them to fend for themselves, so I prayed for a good time and prepared to settle them down before leaving to find you. But I didn't expect that the various forces on Chaos Star were complicated, and they were more difficult to deal with than I thought. There were still many people behind them. Involving the existence of other families in the Huayao Empire, we can only choose to take our time, peel off the cocoon step by step, defeat them one by one or cooperate. Unexpectedly, a year has passed since we cleared up those dangerous factors. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi Y. Chapter 466. Well. Ya Yang also sighed, fully understanding Qin Jun's reluctance to let go. If it were him, he wouldn't be able to let go of those poor people and come to find his teammates. Zai Wuotong and the others are essentially good people, and they can't stand the wealth-spreading boys who can't bear to be bullied by the weak. So Ya Yang forgave him without much hesitation. As for Wei Liang Chen, well, this kid is so scheming, he doesn't believe that he has no other way to contact them in advance. Wei Liang Chen raised his eyebrows, with a smile on his lips, and spread his hands to show that he was also innocent. After all, he was not as kind-hearted as Qin Jun. He saved the natives at that time and took a risk to get a huge fortune from greedy Wolf Star and come back to help them improve their lives. He was not the leader he wanted to be. He was those natives pushed him to do it. After coming to this high-tech star, he didn't want to stay in the dirty place of Chaos Star for a long time. As a refugee leader, he had long thought of visiting other prosperous planets, and those 7 magical planets. Seeing, he was even more curious. It's just that Qin Jun, that stubborn and kind-hearted man, couldn't let go of the natives and begged him to stay and help them, otherwise he would have gone out to sightsee and see the scenery. Well, he would have found someone. Ya Yang gritted his teeth looking at his smiling face. He could tell at a glance that he was up to something bad. Then he snorted, turned back to Qin Jun and continued to asking a key question, what about eldest sister? There are also Lu Wang and Qin Sheiyu. They should have passed through as well. Do you have any news about them? There are a total of 8 people in Zai Wuotong, and now that 5 of them have gathered, there is a high chance that the other 3 are not absent. Even Bai Qianchun and Leng Xiao couldn't hold it in any longer, and looked towards Qin Jun with nervous eyes. This Qin Jun paused and subconsciously looked towards Wei Liang Chen. Bai Qianchun and the other 3 also followed his gaze and turned their heads in unison. Meeting their gazes, Wei Liang Chen slowly moved his long left leg to rest on his right long leg, and said with a faint smile, which one do you want to hear, bad news or good news? Ya Yang grinned at his teeth, raised his eyebrows and muttered, can't we just say it all at once? It's just to titillate people. Tisk, you're still as restless as before. Wei Liang Chen snorted with a disgusting tone, and then slowly spoke under Ya Yang's angry eyes. The good news is that eldest sister and the other 3 have also come through, and all 8 of us Zai Wuotong are here. The bad news is that the 3 of them, eldest sister, are now in the Orc Empire. They are pure-blooded orcs from the Orc Empire, and their status is not low. According to the rules of this interstellar world, the Human Empire and the Orc Empire are incompatible and have a long-standing feud. It's a little difficult to contact the eldest sister and the others openly and even live together like before. It is especially sensitive now that the 2 empires are at odds and have begun small-scale battles. I don't dare to contact the eldest sister and the others now, nor do I know the specific situation on their side to avoid being labeled as traitors. This is indeed a problem. Bai Qianchun frowned, looking a little ugly. In particular, she was the main motivator who pushed the 2 empires to tear up the peace agreement and go to war in advance. Then will sister and the others go to the battlefield? Wei Liang Chen, eldest sister and Lu Wangmei. Although they are descendants of nobles in the Orc Empire, they also have military positions, but their military ranks are not high. They may be pushed to the front as a vanguard, or they may stay in the rear as logistics. As for Qin Sheiyu, he is safe. The identity of the person he passed through is the illegitimate son of the previous Fox King, Fox 13, and Fox Miu. Now that Fox 14 is in power, he has made a Prince Dang Dang. His original body has been since he was a child. He's a dandy and a loser who only knows how to eat, drink and have fun, so I don't think the Orc Empire is so stupid as to let him go to the battlefield and mess around. After hearing what he said, Bai Qianchun was still worried. As Wei Liangchen said, the eldest sister and Lu Wang still hold military ranks in the Orc Empire's legion. Now that the war between the two empires has broken out, they are likely to be killed as well. Send out. Bai Qianchun, who was originally in a good mood and wanted to make contributions and take over the 9th Legion as soon as possible, now had no intention of fighting with Bai Zhuangquan. She was more worried about the safety of her eldest sister and the others than the military power of the 9th Legion. But it's useless for them to worry now. Bai Qianchun can only suppress the worried emotions in his heart and comfort himself that his eldest sister is stronger than her. Lu Wang is not bad either. He and Leng Xiao are the representatives of martial arts idiots in their Zaiwutong. Let's not talk about the value for now, but it must have the ability to protect itself. She should still think about how to end the war between the two empires as soon as possible and sign a more reliable peace agreement again, so that they can have an honest chance to meet with the eldest sister and the others. But no matter how much she racked her brain, she couldn't come up with a good way to make the two mortal enemies who had been entangled for thousands of years shake hands and make peace. What's more, the Fox King of the Orc Empire opposite him was ambitious, aggressive, and bellicose. Unless the opponent changed his lover, peace is the king who can bend down. So the soldiers on the battleship discovered that their 3 popular recruits had been very angry these days. The training room had become an exclusive performance stage for the 3 of them. The other soldiers who were overwhelmed by strength could not even lift their heads. Even the Major General didn't take advantage of them. He treated them equally like other soldiers and curled up and screamed after a few moves. Those with higher military ranks did not dare to come to the training room this time, for fear that they would be knocked down by the 3 recruits, and they would be the ones who would be embarrassed and lose their dignity. Also, the 2 old friends brought by Bai Qianchun are also ridiculously powerful. Although they don't play as frequently as Bai Qianchun and the others, every time they take action, they must be extraordinary. They have never lost, and their paths are as good as those of Bai Qianchun. The resemblance is so special that no one will doubt that they are old friends. As for how Wei Liangchen and Qianjun were able to pick up the ancient martial arts from their previous lives and practice them again without Bai Qianchun's guidance, of course it must be attributed to Wei Liangchen's clever mind. They adopted the same approach as Yang Leng Xiao, where ancient martial arts and supernatural powers coexisted and were independent of each other. Although they did not have the help of Bai Qianchun's medicinal bath, their tendons and veins were a little weak, and they were not as good as Yang Leng Xiao's. People are strong, but with the help of the vitality pill, no problems have arisen from practicing until now, but if it takes a while, this may not be the case, and the possibility of problems is very high. Bai Qianchun suspected that the reason why Wei Liangchen came to them so actively this time, and even took advantage of a favor and went directly to the logistics of the 9th Army, was probably because of this reason. Not stingy with her teammates, she quickly made several plans to help them strengthen their bodies and muscles. So in the next few days, Wei Liangchen and Qianjun took medicinal baths, feeling pain and happiness. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 467. The battleship traveled at lightning speed and soon arrived at the border of Huayao Empire. The colorful skylight shrouded the edge of the border, like a dazzling neon light. Even the dark and quiet universe was dyed with brilliant colors. It looked extremely beautiful and fantastic, dividing the Huayao Empire and the Orc Empire into 2 places, like an insurmountable chasm. Even the smoke and flames of war set off by the 2 empires in the distance could not cover up its brilliance. Bai Qianchun stood on the observatory of the battleship and looked at the scenery in front of him, with shock in his eyes. He also understood why the 7 source stars were so important to the Huayao Empire. Order, Logistics Team 3 is ready. The entire team will be on standby at the hatch of the battleship. 10 minutes later, they will lead the supplies to the asteroid to prepare for logistics work. Order, Logistics Team 3 is ready. The entire team will be on standby at the hatch of the battleship. 10 minutes later, they will lead the supplies to the asteroid and prepare for logistics work. The harsh announcement resounded throughout the battleship, and Bai Jian-chun, who was still watching the scenery from the observatory, instantly straightened his back. Ye Yang beside him could not help but frown and mutter, "The third team, isn't it our team? They are all new recruits, and there are only a few veterans who directly let us go out to the battleship as the vanguard. Could it be another conspiracy of that old guy Bai Juanquan? Bar." Qinjun scratched his head and said with a shy smile, "It shouldn't be the case. There are people stationed on those logistics stars all year round, and they are provided for logistics, so there should be no danger." Wei Liangchen put his hands in his pockets, handsome and casual, with a half smile on his lips. Little Qinjun is still so naive. Who said there is no danger in logistics? When two armies are fighting, they must first cut off their food and fodder. This is the most effective method on the battlefield. One of the art of war. Even people in our world who have not read a few books understand this principle. Nowadays, everyone in this interstellar world is literate, so how do you know that the Orc Empire will not use this art of war? Bai Jian-chun agreed with this. The Orc Empire quietly arranged for a royal woman to come to the Huayao Empire and successfully gave birth to a prince. She even arranged so many spies to create a red thread cells, a hypnotic control thing. If she hadn't stepped in the middle, maybe they would have succeeded. This shows that the Orc Empire is not just as simple as having well-developed limbs. At least the foxes in the Orc Empire, the royal family, has brains. They might be caught off guard and pull off some kind of surprise attack. When Bai Jian-chun and others arrived at the hatch of the battleship, their instructor Lao Cao was already standing here. He was currently talking to the person on the other end of the communication, Bai Zhuangquan, on the communication line. Bai Zhuangquan's gentle and smiling voice also came over, "Instructor Cao, you are too careful. The eagle will always take off. There are risks everywhere on the battlefield. It is impossible for them to stay away from missions for the rest of their lives. Moreover, although most of the third logistics team are new recruits, their strength is obvious to everyone. They are even comparable to the major generals in our logistics department, and even far exceed it. I only sent them as the vanguard after careful consideration." The troops went. "I believe that as long as Lieutenant Bai is here, with her ability, even if there is any accident, she will be able to save the day. I am also kind-hearted to create opportunities for them to perform meritorious services. Today's young people are all passionate, and I believe they will also like to perform meritorious services." "Yes, so Instructor Cao, you are too conservative. It would be bad if others heard you and thought you were trying to prevent them from doing meritorious service and were misunderstood." Lao Cao was so choked by his singing and chanting. I grinded my teeth secretly in my heart. This guy is indeed an old fox. He can't relax at all. I'm afraid that he was so worried about being allocated money a few days ago to reduce their defensiveness. Look, now, as soon as he goes to the battlefield, there is no he acted directly and decisively under the supervision of Marshal de Rong. He also made the sophistry well-founded. On the contrary, he said that he was delaying the recruits' meritorious service. He was asked to explain the reason. Lao Cao didn't know how to reply. When he saw that the three teams were already lined up nearby, he hung up the communication with a straight face. The old fox opposite made it clear that he would not withdraw his order, and he would not waste any more words. Then he wiped his face and looked at the leader Bai Jian-chun. His expression was a little tangled, and he hesitated to speak. In the end, he only uttered 3 words, "Be careful." Bai Jian-chun raised her eyebrows at him and said with a smile, "Don't worry, Instructor Cao." Then the passage to the battleship cabin opened, and Bai Qianchun took the lead and took out his mecha and jumped out. This mecha is of course a super mecha given by Fen Yuyu. However, in order to avoid attracting attention, Fen Yuyu specially customized a mimic function for her, turning this super mecha into the most powerful one on the market in the Huayao Empire. The most expensive and best performing mecha Wind Chaser series. So when Bai Qianchun flew out in the mecha, a group of people queuing up behind were just envious of how rich she was. The mecha was so well equipped and nothing else. Then the other team members followed closely, and each mecha flew out, forming a Z shape and floating in the vast universe, flying towards the asteroid not far away. As for Qinjun and Wei Liangchen, they did not interfere and were asked by Bai Qianchun to stay on the battleship. If they encounter any danger and never return, Wei Liangchen and the others can stay and avenge them, right? With the cruelty of Wei Liangchen, Bai Zhuangquan will definitely die miserably in the end. However, in order to prevent the friendship between his teammates from breaking up, Bai Qianchun still did not say this in front of Wei Liangchen. There was silence in the vast universe, as if I was the only one left in the world, and I could only hear my own breathing. Suddenly, there was a vague sound of electric current collision, and then the one-way channel light was lit. Report to the captain, the starport docking station of asteroid serial 28 has been detected, and an entry signal has been sent from the starport. Sitting in the spacious mecha cockpit, after Bai Qianchun heard the news from the scouts in the team, he raised his hand and pressed the public frequency button. The team is divided into 2 teams. I will lead the team to explore the road. Yang, you lead the other half of the team and stay where you are. Yang said yes seriously. Then the Z-shaped team dispersed and divided into 2 smaller Zs. The front Z broke away from the team and flew towards the asteroid. The bright red warning lights flashed in the starry skyport, and the cold mechanical sound sounded, "Please show the identity of the person coming." Bai Qianchun answered one by one. Bai Qianchun, captain of the 3rd team of the 9th Army Logistics Department. Beep, identity verification passed. Lieutenant Bai, please follow the instructions to log in to start 28. Bai Qianchun's face was serious, her eyebrows furrowed, and she followed the instructions of the mechanical voice and started to enter the boring security check login process. There were no accidents along the way, and now that I was free and bored, the public channel started to get lively. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 468. Lin Fiwi's carefree and rough voice sounded, with unconcealed excitement in his voice, "Ah, this is my first mission on the border." Although there was no accident, it felt a bit exciting. Lin Qiui whispered in a shy voice, I think so too. Brother Hui, please pay attention in front. It's your turn to log in through security check. Lin Fiwi, hey, I caught up. Thank you Sister Qiui for reminding me, hee, otherwise I would be embarrassed on my first mission. Lin Qiui, what I should do, Brother Hui usually takes good care of me. Lin Fiwi, that's it, if I don't take care of you, who will I take care of? Who told you to be so delicate and easy to bully when the wind blows? As soon as you leave my sight, someone will make trouble for you. Humph, before the battleship last time, the sly-looking boy secretly dragged you into a corner. He must have wanted to bully you, but luckily I arrived in time. Lin Guiyan, ha 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 ha. I'm sorry, I took Cai Kui to the corner to confess, but you didn't come at the right time, otherwise I might have successfully confessed to you and ended up with Cai Kui. Also, that's obviously very nice. Why is it that this handsome boy turns so mean when he comes into your mouth? Lin Fiwi snorted and was very unconvinced. Why is it that he is not a sinister person? He is as skinny as a monkey. A man should be like me with 8-pack abs, strong muscles, and a strong back and waist. He is a real man. No matter how bad he is, he looks like a monkey like Lang Xiao and Yang. Although he is thin, he can still fight even if he takes off his clothes and has meat. Everyone in the channel immediately started shouting, "Ha ha ha, old Lin, you can't do this. Is it possible that you've looked at this person's clothes and you know he has no muscles? That's right, just be jealous if you're jealous. For a man like you, who's so tough-minded, why don't you just speak out openly? What's the point of secretly smearing others? Ha ha ha, men in the world are generally shady and like to speak ill of their love rivals behind their backs." Who said it? I like a straight face, but I like green tea. In order to catch up with the goddess I have been secretly in love with for 18 years, I secretly learned the art of tea for 13 years as a professional tea maker. Now my love rival is standing in front of me. I can also make him retreat in front of me. That's great. You're an experienced tea artist. You can teach me some tricks sometime. Lin Fiju, who had not yet found his wife again, also changed his silence and secretly followed Gong Huo to make a fuss, hoping that the tea master could take classes in public. There was a lot of excitement in the public channel. Everyone was talking about how men should deal with their love rivals. Ye Yang was also frantically sending private messages to Bai Qianchun. "What's going on? Why are you calling me Quiqui? Is it possible that Lin Quiqui's identity has been exposed?" Bai Qianchun replied to him slowly, "No, in order to differentiate, Lin Quiqui took the initiative to say her nickname was Quiqui. Also, although Bai Zhuangquan tested Kui Kui several times on the battleship, it was like a child playing house. I suspect that either he may already know my identity, or he may be holding back some big move to deal with the four of us Bai Zhuangquan. Qianchun, please pay attention for a while. There seems to be a problem on this asteroid. If we can't be contacted, you can send a distress signal directly to the battleship." Ye Yang immediately became vigilant, pulled Leng Xiao into the channel, and continued, "Sister Chun, what did you find?" Leng Xiao, who had just been pulled in. Bai Qianchun, "Well, I have a bad feeling. Although this is just an asteroid that is one of the logistics options, it is too cold. I haven't seen anyone since the beginning. The most important thing is that this strange situation suddenly reminded her of the place of death of Yuchen, the imperial prince. In the dream, although the original owner Bai Qianchun is a lover and only pursues Fen Yuyu, he still occasionally hears things outside the window, especially since Lu Yuchen is Fen Yuyu's cousin. When Lu Yuchen's bodyguard revealed the situation after his death, he said that it was very quiet when they entered the planet. The starry skyport was full of mechanical sounds and automatic operation to log in. The starry skyport was desolate and silent. The cold and quiet atmosphere made people get goosebumps. Although they had a bad premonition, His Highness the Crown Prince was eager to save people, so they ignored the ominous situation and entered the planet. As a result, His Highness the Crown Prince died later, and they personally guarded the planet. I was deeply saddened and regretted not paying attention to the strangeness of the starry skyport. So she suspected that this planet was the place where Lu Yuchen died in his dream. Ye Yang immediately said, "Sister Chun said there must be a problem on this asteroid, so there must be something wrong. I know that old guy Bai Zhuangquan must be harboring something bad. Being, please pay more attention to Sister Chun in a while and protect Sister Chun." Leng Xiao responded with a solemn and tight voice, "Yes." After Bai Qianchun and half of the team successfully logged into the starry skyport, Ye Yang seamlessly connected and alertly sent a message immediately, "Sister Chun, Sister Chun." But there was always no answer at the other end, and there was even a harsh noise of no signal. Ye Yang was immediately shocked, "Damn it, something is really wrong." He immediately mounted his horse and sent help messages to the battleship according to Bai Qianchun's previous warning without stopping. "Call the minister, call the minister. Our captain lost the signal after entering the asteroid. Please support us. Please support us. Please support us quickly." Then he rolled his eyes and opened the communication channels of his friends who were still in the battleship and all the small groups and large groups, sending emergency distress signals. In the battleship command room, Bai Quan, who was originally smiling and in a happy mood, suddenly choked and looked a little ugly when he heard the loud cry for help that echoed throughout the command room. How can it be? Can he actually send a distress signal? Shouldn't the whole team be trapped? Minister, a major who was controlling the battleship in front, turned to look at him and asked for his instructions. Bai Quan stood up pretendingly, and then walked towards him. Well, this kid is still young after all. He is too nervous to do a task for the first time. Let's do this. You first ask the situation clearly and what happened. This is pointless. Mindless requests for help affected my judgment, making it difficult for me to take the next step of command. Major. Saving people is like putting out fire. If support is delayed for 1 second on the battlefield, several more people may die. Are you sure you don't want to drag them to death? The major was very depressed about his behavior of not distinguishing between public and private affairs and wanting to drag down the recruits to death. However, he was a close associate of General Zhou and was sent here to obey all orders of Bai Quan. He could not express any negative opinions. Alas! Does General Zhou know that Bai Quan despises the lives of soldiers so much? After this experience, it would be difficult for him to leave his life to Bai Quan and listen to his command. Who knows if he will be the next unlucky guy who is delayed and dies. He even had the idea of rebelling and joining Marshal de Rong. Although Marshal de Rong had no money, he cherished the lives of his soldiers. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 469. Just when the major reluctantly followed Bai Zhuangquan's wishes and planned to send a message to Yang to ask about the process, and stalling for time, a silent second lieutenant next to the major suddenly shouted in surprise, "It's not good, Minister Bai." Bai Zhuangquan frowned and turned around to stare. "What's wrong?" I was shocked. The second lieutenant was a little aggrieved by being scolded in front of him, and his voice became a little softer, but he still completed what he said before. Well, the recruit named Yang not only sent the distress message to the command room, but also sent it to many people, my individual private chats, and the group chats I added all have his distress messages. Bai Zhuangquan never expected that boy Yang would pull this trick. What groups have you joined? Second Lieutenant, all the members of the 9th Army Group are present, all members of the Logistics Department are present, and all second lieutenants are present. Bai Zhuangquan had a shocked and angry expression on his face, and he cursed angrily, "How the hell did you get all the members to join the group?" The second lieutenant blinked and expressed that he was also aggrieved. "I also want to join a higher level group, but no one treats me well. Except for the group that requires everyone to be present, no one invites me to other private groups." In fact, the second lieutenant feels that this is not his fault, but the fault of Minister Bai. Who knows that Minister Bai is usually not likable, which makes him, the person assigned to Minister Bai as the exclusive personal guard, lose his business. Otherwise he would just rely on he has a pleasant face and is praised for his good eloquence. There must be many people willing to be friends with him and drag him into other groups, so it's all Minister Bai's fault. It's a pity that he can't say this. He is just an ordinary, powerless second lieutenant. He can't afford to offend a logistics minister. After hearing this, the major also opened the communication and checked it, and said in surprise, "I also received his message for help." All the groups related to the 9th Legion have messages for help from Yang. Now I am afraid that the entire the 9th Army Corps, including Marshal de Rong, already know that there has been an accident with the 3rd team of the Logistics Department. After finishing speaking, he suppressed the surprise on his face and turned it into a shocked expression. He pretended to look at Bai Zhuangquan and asked cautiously, "Minister Bai, what should we do now?" If we delay for time, we will definitely be discovered. Bai Zhuangquan's face dropped, full of gloom. Send a message to that boy, support will be here soon. Isn't Instructor Cao worried about them? Let Instructor Cao go. Yes. Yang, who was sitting in the mecha and had already received the message, was proud. He knew that the old fox Bai Zhuangquan definitely wanted to play dirty, so he pretended to be weak, pitiful, and scared. He panicked and sent the wrong help signal during his first mission. It's just a pity that Bai Zhuangquan didn't show up in person to ask him why he did this, otherwise he could have acted in a big drama, and he had already thought of his lines. Bai Zhuangquan, who was sitting in the command room, also snorted coldly in his heart, his eyes full of gloom and gloom. Even if reinforcements were sent, Bai Qianchun would still die. The reinforcements would only kill a few more people. If the people over there hadn't contacted him and told him the truth, he might have been deceived by the fake Bai Qianchun, and the good friends he spent money to get, all of them actually helped that bitch Bai Qianchun. The girl kept him in the dark, just waiting for her to rise to power, treating him as an abandoned son. Oh, he won't die. Even if he dies, that bitch Bai Qianchun will die first, and all those people will be killed by her. Buried with. Bai Zhuangquan's lowered eyes were filled with the flames of crazy hatred, and he felt proud in his heart. Ha ha ha, in the end it was him who had the better move, and these people must die. After receiving the notice, Lao Cao immediately led the team to set off, and soon joined Yang's half of the team who stayed outside the asteroid. Lao Cao frowned, suppressed the anxiety in his heart, and asked calmly, "Please tell me what the situation is." Yang quickly told the clues he knew, including what Bai Qianchun realized was wrong just now. Lao Cao looked solemn, and then made a decision. The starport on this asteroid has been lost, and I'm afraid it has been controlled by others. I will go over to investigate. If we determine that the situation is dangerous, we will blow up the starport and enter. Good. Yang didn't have much talent for commanding battles, so he naturally obeyed the command obediently. At this time, Bai Qianchun and others who had entered the asteroid did not encounter any urgent danger as outsiders imagined. They just found that they could not get out and could not contact the outside world. Fortunately, they only saw that the internal channel could still be connected. At this time, the public channel, which was originally a lively chat, was now silent, filled with solemn alert. "Captain, what should we do now?" Lin Guiyan followed up and said, "I know what this thing like a defensive shield device is that is preventing us from going out. The Research Institute just invented a special defensive shield some time ago, called catching turtles in an urn, which locks the things in the defensive shield inside. Inside, it is difficult to fly, and one can only enter from the outside. It can maintain its operation by absorbing the void energy of the universe. Now it seems to have surrounded the entire asteroid, and the outside is directly the universe. It is very convenient to absorb energy to maintain it, so we start from no matter how much force is used internally, it cannot be broken." Bai Qianchun frowned. "Then is there any way to get out of here?" "Yes, the first way is to find the defensive shield launcher inside and just turn it off. The second way is to violently destroy it from outside, but this requires a lot of firepower, at least 3 warships' artillery fire. Half of it? It was tested by people from the Research Institute a few months ago, and they said that although it has strong defensive capabilities, it is not very practical, so the Research Institute plans to renovate it and move the transmitter outside. So far, there has been no success. News. So, its transmitter is still inside the asteroid, and our only way now is to go in and find it. Self-rescue. As for mobilizing warships to rescue them from the outside, it is not possible yet, because there is only one warship from the logistics department outside, and the warship's gunfire is not as strong as the warships fighting on the front line." Someone on the public channel said fearfully, Who knows what kind of trap is waiting for us in this asteroid? They must have done this deliberately to let us go in and fall into a trap. Otherwise, we can just wait here. Yang, they must already know that there is something wrong with this asteroid. When the time comes, they will send out a distress signal, and 3 more warships will be mobilized to bombard this bullshit, and we will be saved. This proposal was unexpectedly supported by several people. It was the first time for everyone to do a mission, and they were not fully prepared for the threat of death. Fear, and shrinkage are all human nature. Who can live well? They want to go in and die. Besides, it is not necessary to die now. There is another safer option. Naturally, they want to be safer. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Lu Zy. Chapter 470. But Bai Qianchun had to stand up and break their delusions. It's useless even if we stay motionless in this starry skyport, something is coming towards us. What? Everyone in the team was startled and suspicious, and quickly turned on the radar scan, but found no danger. However, Bai Qianchun was not a person who made irresponsible remarks, so they did not rush to raise questions, but continued to watch the radar and wait. 30 seconds later, the radar showed an abnormal creature approaching in their direction. Then, what are those? Lin Guiyan and others were horrified when they saw it. In the picture transmitted by the radar, they were a group of monsters wearing garrison uniforms. They were shaped like humans and looked strange. Some had half their bodies covered with pitch-black scales, and some had one leg or one arm turned into a claw, and each one had fangs exposed in its mouth. The human eyes turned into cold vertical pupils, showing no trace of humanity. They were described as terrifying, their expressions were crazy, and their bodies were even distorted. It's like an orc gone wrong. Bai Qianchun looked solemn. It should be the garrison on this asteroid. They were injected with red silk cells carrying orc genes. She had seen the appearance of many people who had been injected with red silk cells containing orc genes before. Without her treatment, those people who could not survive the disease would have become like these garrison soldiers, completely reduced to a monster that failed to transform. People born in Lin Guiyan's big family were no strangers to red silk cells carrying orc genes. Their families had already told them about the situation before they joined the Legion. Even the veterans in the Legion knew something about it. Before the vigorous military-wide investigations conducted these days are just to investigate people who have been injected with this thing. However, Lin Guiyan and others knew more than the veterans. They knew that Bai Qianchun discovered this thing and said that she had cured it. Lin Guiyan looked at those people wearing garrison uniforms and couldn't bear it. Can they be saved like this? Before Bai Qianchun could answer, a loud boom was heard, and an invisible defensive light shield lit up above their mecha, blocking the powerful artillery fire shooting at them from the air. Holy shit, you're so insidious. You first use the garrison's deformed monsters to attract our attention, and then make a sneak attack in the air. If our captain hadn't opened the defense cover so fast, my mecha might have been blown open. Cursing voices sounded on the public channel. Did you see who the sneak attack guy was? Locked, there are several beast-shaped mechas flying in the air. Damn it, it's people from the Orc Empire. They sneaked in and occupied this asteroid. What do the garrison troops at the border do for food? They actually let these fish in that slip through the net. They didn't even occupy the logistics star. No. Hey, it's us who are in trouble, damn it. Captain, what should we do now? It's probably too late to wait for the battleships to arrive from outside. Bai Qianchun's face was solemn, and she was even more certain that this asteroid was the place where Lu Yuchen died in the dream. Even the Imperial Prince's personal guards could not resist, and even Lu Yuchen died, which shows how dangerous this asteroid is. She pursed her lips, suppressed the uneasiness in her heart, and gave the order calmly, fly up and fight in the air. Try not to affect the garrison on the ground. If there is a conflict between the two sides, the priority is to protect yourself. Although the situation of the garrison was very bad, she had not personally investigated and was not sure whether it was truly hopeless, so she would not affect them if possible. Yes, Captain. After a period of running in, the team members were still very slow at following orders, so they deployed their defenses one by one, formed a formation, and flew towards the orc mechas in mid-air in an orderly manner. Bai Qianchun drove the super mecha very fast. With a flash, she jumped directly into the middle of several beast-shaped mechas. Then she pulled out her big knife and the hunting began. The beast-shaped mecha channel was filled with sneers and scorn. Haha, let's play close combat with us orcs, the people in this mecha are crazy. Kill her. In an instant, the long sword of the humanoid mecha showed its sharpness, and the beast-shaped mecha revealed its sharp and cold fangs. In the blink of an eye, 8 orc mechas surrounded the humanoid mecha in the middle and launched a quick attack. They cooperated with each other tacitly, and some specialized in the rear, some were dedicated to facing the attack directly, and some were focused on the bottom wall. Even the limbs of the humanoid mecha were stared at one by them. Ordinary people would definitely drink blood within a few seconds under such a dense, fast and well-coordinated siege. But the one being besieged was Bai Qianchun. Bai Qianchun, who has practiced the ancient martial arts known as the king of melee combat, plus she had a super mecha that fit her perfectly, was almost tailor-made, and could keep up with all her reactions. Therefore, not only was she not killed instantly, but she turned against the enemy. Its snow-white blades were deadly, and in a short time, 8 animal-shaped mechas were covered in them. There is more or less damage. Lin Guiyan and others who came to attack were dumbfounded. Ah, do you still need their help? It feels like the captain can kill 8 of the opponent's mechas with one mecha. During their hesitation, Leng Xiao quickly cooled down and joined the battlefield. Almost instantly, he and Bai Qianchun formed an extremely tacit cooperation. She drew her sword, and he fired at fixed points, 2-point bursts, and 3-point bursts. 5 o'clock shooting. In just 1 minute, 5 orc mechas were taken away and penetrated their mecha warehouses. The remaining 3 orc mechas immediately panicked. Tiger 13, Snake 2, and Pig 4, you are still alive, yeah, talk, answer quickly, damn it. Their voices were sharp and panicked, but they never received a response. They knew that the 5 must be dead. The 3 of them sensed danger and stopped fighting. They turned around and wanted to run away, but it was too late. Moreover, exposing one's back to the enemy was the most dangerous thing. Bai Qianchun stabbed one through with one stab, and Leng Xiao also took away 2 with 2 precise shots. The first battle was declared victorious. Warm applause quickly erupted on the public channel. It's amazing, it kills people without blinking, it kills animals without blinking. As expected of the captain and brother Xiao, they worked together so well. Captain, what should we do next? Find the transmitter. After this crushing confrontation, the team members suddenly became more confident, leaving behind even their previous timidity and fear. The captain is so powerful, they have more confidence in the team to find the launcher to break the turtle shell. Unfortunately, the self-confidence did not last long before Bai Qianchun poured cold water on them again. Those are just vanguard minions sent to test us. Don't get too happy too early. Team members, .o.